Oh, it's not going to be easy, but I accept the challenge to not make a boring video about music licensing for internet radio stations. Hey there, I'm Jeff, the radio DJ dude, and you asked for it. You see what I did there? I immediately shifted blame to you. On tap, the ultimate guide for navigating music licensing for internet broadcasters. Now I've got you covered with the why, what, and how much. Not only how much will this licensing set you back, but how much not having it could cost you. Okay, strap in, because that music biz is definitely using strap-ons to bend you over and just Okay, fine, I'll attempt a non-biased approach here. Well, attempt being the key word.
We are on the air.
To be absolutely clear, I'm hitting this from a U.S. perspective. These are the laws I know, and this is the playground I frolic in. You have to do your own music licensing research as it pertains to your country. And this video is for informational purposes only and is not meant to be construed as legal advice. Okay, let's kick off with the basics. Why do you need music licensing for your internet radio station? Well, duh, it's the law! And it ensures that artists and songwriters actually get paid for their work. And come on, being an artist today has never been more of a dumpster fire. Low royalties, few opportunities for income. I mean, come on, it's the least that we can do. And I want you to think of licensing as buying the greatest jukebox ever. I'm talking every song is loaded up in this thing, except instead of your audience dropping quarters to hear their favorite songs, you are on the hook and paying to play. And music licensing isn't just about following rules. Like I said, it's about respecting creativity and supporting the makers of that music that we love. Plus, and this is a real biggie for me, it gives you peace of mind knowing that your station is operating above board. Okay, let's break down the main types of licenses you'll need, and buckle up because this could get a little tech talky. I'll try to keep it brief though. First up, the statutory license. Now this is your golden ticket for non-interactive streaming, and that's key. That basically means you're playing music without any listener control or influence. You pick and play the tunes, basically like traditional radio. Now, it's handled by an organization called Sound Exchange, which collects and distributes the royalties for use of those sound recordings. Now, the statutory license is crucial because it covers the rights to broadcast the actual recorded songs. Now, without it, oh my God, you don't want this headache. You'd actually need to negotiate with each individual record label. Next up, licenses from performance rights organizations, or PROs as we'll call them. Now these cover the actual rights to the musical compositions themselves. In the US, you'll need licenses from all the biggies. We're talking about ASCAP, BMI, SESAC, and GMR. It's basically like collecting all the Infinity Stones, but just for music rights. Each PRO represents different songwriters and publishers. Now, ASCAP and BMI are the biggest, but you definitely don't want to look SESAC and GMR because some major artists are only represented by one PRO, so you really need agreements with all of them to ensure comprehensive coverage. Next up are mechanical licenses. Now, if you're offering on-demand streaming or downloads, you might need one of these. And in the US, the Harry Fox agency could hook you up. Now, this is really important. Mechanical licenses come into play when listeners can choose specific songs or even download them. Now, if you're primarily just a radio station, if you offer any on-demand features like online requests, you'll need to consider this license. But wait, there's more. You also need to comply with DMCA requirements. This means no pre-announcing songs, limiting how many tracks you can play from one artist or album over a certain time period, and no taking requests for specific songs on demand. Oh, hand me that shovel. We're going to dive deeper into the DMCA, or Digital Millennium Copyright Act. This law, passed in 1998, provides a framework for copyright in the digital age. Now, for internet radio, it sets specific rules to ensure that you're not replicating the experience of owning a song. And here are some of the key DMCA requirements. You cannot play more than 4 songs by the same artist in a 3-hour period. You can't play more than 3 songs from the same album in a 3-hour period. You must identify the song title, artist, and album in text on your audio player. You can't publish an advanced schedule or list of songs. If you have recorded archives, they can't be longer than 5 hours. And listeners cannot rewind or fast forward through your stream. No tarot cards needed. I know what you're thinking. God, this sounds expensive and complicated. You're not wrong, but you really have to consider the alternative. Getting sued for copyright infringement? I mean, trust me, that's one remix you don't want to hear. Coming up, I'm going to break down just how much it would cost me to get licenses from each organization for my all-80s powerhouse, XXX80s.com. But first, I feel we have to have that tough talk about the potential fees and legal ramifications of not having proper licensing. As you know, the cost of licensing could vary widely depending on your audience size and station's revenue. But come on, they're nothing compared to the cost of a lawsuit. If you're caught broadcasting without proper licenses based on the U.S. Copyright Act, Title 17, fines can range from $750 all the way to $150,000 per song if you're found guilty of willful infringement. That means every song you play without permission could potentially cost you $150,000. Now, even if you're a small station, those fines, forget it. They'll bankrupt you and shut down your operation. And beyond the financial impact, you could also face injunctions forcing you to, like I said, shut down your station. And to me, come on, it's just not worth the risk. While I do have an alternative to purchasing expensive individual licenses that I've been talking about, but keep in mind, if you do choose to go this route and acquire individual licenses from each one of these organizations, you really need to follow along here because you're going to need to keep detailed records of every song you play and then submit your song logs to each one of these licensing bodies. Now, of course, there's software solutions that can help with this, and I'm sure many of these solutions will integrate with your broadcasting playout software to automatically log these playlists, and some will even help you with the reporting to the PROs and Sound Exchange. But come on, it does take time, and it is something else you need to put on your to-do list. Well, I'm sure you agree this already is the snappiest video about music licensing for internet radio stations, but if you're unsure of anything, you need to consult a lawyer who specializes in music licensing. You know, it's better to be safe than to be sued, and a good lawyer could not only help you navigate the licensing landscape, but also assist in negotiations and make sure that you're not overpaying for licenses you just don't need. Come on, say it with me. What a huge pain in the ass cap. Yo, it is. The music industry does not make this easy, and come on, they never have. For me, I feel music licensing fees should be more tied to an internet station's total revenue and listener hours, into story. But come on, fair? That's never been part of the industry's vocabulary. So not only will your backside hurt, your wallet is definitely going to bleed from all this too. And I know the big question you've been hanging on the edge of your futon for, how much will keeping my ASCAP at a court cost? Okay, let's dive in. These are accurate numbers as of August 2024. I submitted applications to every organization we've mentioned except for GMR. Feast your peepers on this. First, the PROs, the performance rights organizations. For a 1-year license based on 0 revenue and 13,000 total listener or streaming hours, annually, ASCAP is $318, BMI is $700, and SESAC is $974. For that statutory license you'll need, Sound Exchange will set you back $1,000 annually. Add them up, and that's a whole lot of cha-ching for a non-revenue producing station. $2,992 worth of cha-ching. And come on, for a small internet broadcaster, that's me, maybe that's you too, there's just no way I'm dropping that much. I mean, unless I have a robust sales team and actually am running a profitable station, which at this time, that's just not my goal. XXX80s.com, it's a fun hobby. It's a way to get my radio fix. But I'm not looking to bang on doors to sell ads at this time. So, that being the case, how do I sleep at night while playing all the hits from the 80s? Well, I am using Live 365 to host my station, and they include music licensing for streams in the US, the UK, and Canada. Now, this isn't an ad for their service. They're not paying me for this, which honestly they should. But to date, they're actually the most comprehensive service provider of their kind. While I'm not thrilled with their rates, doing the math, it is 80% cheaper than getting individual licenses. Now, the big question for you, if you don't already have music licensing, are you going to get it? And no judgment. I mean, for many, Live 365 rates are just too prohibitive. Here's the deal. To do internet radio right, it's not a cheap hobby. But to me, dropping under $100 a month on something that, actually brings me some joy, it's a small price to pay. Versus, getting an email from a mafioso-style attorney representing a record label trying to shake me down for $5,000 per song I played over the past 2 years. Okay, Pac-Man, you're up. Exactly. Game over. Wrapping this extravaganza up, bottom line, your listeners tune in because they love the music you play. And by getting proper licensing, you're not just protecting yourself from a legal smackdown, but you're supporting those artists who make that music and your station possible. So show of hands, how many of you now regret asking me to do this video on music licensing? Hopefully you got something out of it. I know it's a very complex issue and we can't cover all the nuances in a YouTube video. So if you have more questions, really reach out to somebody who knows this stuff. I'm just an internet poser. But I do appreciate your time. Hopefully this gives you something to chew on. I do believe strongly operating within the law with this because the risks are just too high. I'm Jeff, the radio DJ dude, and one risk that I totally support you on and get behind you 200% is the click, click, click kind. Please hit me with a like and subscribe, and it's just gonna cause me to do inner backflips and cartwheels. I definitely appreciate your time here. And until our next little radio rendezvous, you keep rocking those mics all over the world.